Hello everyone, and welcome to week 4 of TC109. My name is Daria, and I'm going to be your facilitator for this week. The goal of this week's activity is to give you an idea of what goes on in a crisis mapping deployment. We're going to be looking at the current conflict in South Sudan, and we're going to be looking to use the Standby Task Force's model of a crisis mapping deployment to simulate what would go into creating a crisis map and working with local stakeholders to aggregate information, process it, analyze it, and then work with local stakeholders so they can take meaningful action on the information that's presented. So our simulation activity is going to be broken up into 3 days. Day 1 is going to be all about planning. We're going to be looking at what exactly are the information needs for a humanitarian mission in South Sudan. We're going to be looking at the situation report that's produced by UN OSHA that talks about the current state of humanitarian response as well as the information needs. And then we're going to see, what we want to do with that information. How do we want to classify it? How do we want to gather it? And how are we going to process it so that we can get it to our stakeholders on the ground in an efficient and effective manner? Day 2 is going to be focused on the actual act of crisis mapping. What we're going to do is we're going to actually monitor Twitter and social media sites as well as news outlets for reports of of things that are going on in South Sudan. Things like population displacement, state violence, political activities, humanitarian needs, and kind of look to gather that information and then report it on a crisis map, which in this case will be Ushahidi. And then day 3 is going to kind of put it all together. We're going to look at how do we verify the information that we've mapped. How do we look at delivering that information and coordinating with local stakeholders? And finally, we're going to create a situation report based off the information that we've gathered in our crisis map and see how effective our crisis map was in meeting the information needs of our stakeholders. This is going to be a fantastic week and kind of a good opportunity for you to see what's involved in different aspects of the crisis mapping deployment. We also have a fantastic guest speaker joining us this week, Brendan O'Haron, who is an Open Crisis member as well as a Standby Task Force member, who's doing a lot of active work in South Sudan in terms of the digital response as well in terms of the volunteer response and crisis mapping. He's going to give us a kind of a heads up in terms of what's going on currently, as well as the challenges he's faced in previous deployments. And then finally on Thursday, I'm going to be hosting a kind of a wrap-up session to kind of talk about our experience with this simulation and give you an opportunity to kind of talk about what your experience was like going through the process of crisis mapping, and also any questions that you might have in terms of what goes on in a deployment. Hopefully, you guys will have a fantastic time and kind of learn new things with this simulation. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. Thank you.